What up? 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 What up, Star Wars fans? Okay, this was, the most insane weekend for Star Wars fans. Pretty much in years, honestly. There was an a CCXP Brazilian Comic Con last Thursday where there was an insane amount of news. Plus, yesterday we got an insane amount of news on Jedi Survivors, which is the next Star Wars video game. So we have a ton, and I mean a ton, to talk about today about Star Wars in general. We're talking about some crazy, crazy, crazy things because this last weekend has had the most Star Wars news that I've seen in a long, long, long time. We're talking Daisy Ridley going crazy online on her Instagram about coming back possibly. We're talking about The Mandalorian Season 3 getting a release date. Also having stuff leaked out about what's going on in The Mandalorian Season 3. We got Jedi Survivors with stuff being leaked about what you would get if you bought the deluxe version. Also a release date getting leaked. Also a book coming out before the the game comes out. It's a lot of news, so we're going to get into it right away. What do you guys want to talk about first? Jedi Fallen Order, the sequels with Daisy Ridley, or The Mandalorian Season 3? Those are kind of the big three topics. Of course, we have other things to talk about. Some Acolyte news also. Even the Ahsoka show has a bit of news. But what do we want to talk about first? The Mandalorian? I'm honestly kind of feeling The Mandalorian Season 3 first. Just tell me what you guys want. Because this is insane. I've never had to talk about this much on stream. This is wild. Because usually these are prediction streams. Usually these are just get hyped for the next show streams. But this is just a ton of news, and I mean a ton of news because I literally have 7 articles opened up right now about what we got to talk about, and there's, I'm sure, plenty more that we need to talk about. But let's start with The Mandalorian Season 3. Let's start with Mandalorian Season 3 because that was by far the biggest news, and it's kind of the next thing. After the Bad Batch Season 2, which again is weird that we aren't hearing anything about that show because it's next. It's literally like a month away. What's today's date? Yeah, today's the 5th. Or is it 6th? Whatever. Today's the 6th. So that means that the Bad Batch is less than a month away. It's January 4th is the Bad Batch Season 2. So that's right around the corner. But right after that is The Mandalorian Season 3. And if you haven't even heard yet, March 1st is that date for The Mandalorian Season 3. March 1st is the first episode of Mando Season 3, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be so hyped. It's going to be bonkers. So first, let's start off with what they had at the expo at CCXP in Brazil. So they had this huge expo in Brazil. It's gotten bigger and bigger every year. It's like a Comic-Con for Brazil. It's called the CCXP Expo, and it's just another Comic-Con. It's just another place where Star Wars fans, Marvel fans, fans of everything come, and it's a Comic-Con. That's pretty much it. And we got some Star Wars news. And the Star Wars news was pretty much only Jedi Fallen Order a little bit, and all Mandalorian Season 3. No Ahsoka, no Bad Batch, no Skeleton Crew, no Acolyte, no nothing. It was just the Mandalorian Season 3 and a little bit of Jedi Fallen Order. So to start, before the event even started, we had this. Disney unveils epic Mandalorian Season 3 display at CCXP. So this right here, that's obviously Grogu. This is obviously the Mandalorian from Season 1 because you can tell by his armor. But this right here, this throne over here, is actually going to be the Throne of Mandalore, the new one. Of course, the Throne of Mandalore looks different in the Clone Wars and in Star Wars Rebels. But this is what it's going to look like in the Mandalorian Season 3. It's going to be a new throne. So this was the exhibit, or whatever you want to call it, at CCXP in Brazil. So obviously, this is the whole thing from afar. You see Grogu over there, Tiny over there. You see Mando standing tall. You see a throne. Yes, this is the first set / whatever you want to call it we've seen for The Mandalorian Season 3. This is pretty cool. This is a different look at it. It's a life-size Baby Yoda, or Grogu. Who's still calling it Baby Yoda? Come on. And then it's right next to the throne. The throne for Mandalore, what we see. And Din Djarin's over there. Yep, here we go. The Mandalorian himself. So what's in store for Mando Season 3? This was written before CCXP, remember that. Many fans assumed that Mandalore would play a key part in Mando's future. and it seems like it's going that way. The trailer for Mando Season 3 shows not only the throne, but also countless other Mandalorians. So this throne is actually in the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer that we got back in September. When did we get that trailer? Back in September. And it's the one that Bo is sitting on in that place, whatever. We know that there's going to be a conflict between Bo and Din about the throne for Mandalore. So it's going to be very, very hyped, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. This story could even introduce Sabine Wren's character in the wider world, because Sabine Wren is going to be, already confirmed, is going to be in the Ahsoka show, because she is cast. Natasha has already been cast a long, long time ago for the role of Sabine Wren. I literally made a video on that like 8 months ago plus. Like she's been announced for a long time. She will be a key role in the Ahsoka show alongside of Rosario Dawson, of course, playing Ahsoka Tano. So Mando Season 3, I honestly thought was going to be a small story, or not small, obviously it's a huge story, but a small story between Bo and Din fighting for the throne, going back to Mandalore, redeeming Mandalore to its former glory, and it was going to be pretty fun because, of course, it's Grogu and it's Din Djarin and it's Mandalore and it's Bo-Katan. But we're talking about something way bigger than this, and I mean way bigger than this, because after they got the release date at this CCXP, the people there got a trailer for The Mandalorian. They got another trailer. And now the people, the public, did not get to see this trailer, however. And some crazy stuff came out of this trailer. And I mean crazy. We're talking about the new Mandalorian Season 3 trailer returns to Coruscant. Now, if you didn't see my video over the weekend, I made a whole video on this, but they return to Coruscant. Now, this means everything goes out the window. Everything you thought you knew about The Mandalorian Season 3 go completely out the window, because Din Djarin and Grogu are on Coruscant. It's not just a scene on Coruscant, it's Din Djarin with Grogu on Coruscant. Now, this literally changes everything. I thought it was going to be a small story, probably contained to Mandalore mostly, or the wreckage of Mandalore mostly. But now we're going to Coruscant, which is, many people believe, the main planet of Star Wars. It is, of course, the capital during the prequels, and even during the original trilogy, you don't go there, but it's kind of referred to. And it is the main planet. It's the capital of the Republic, of the High Republic, of the Empire. It's the capital. You saw it a lot in the Andor show that we just finished. So Grogu and Din are going to Coruscant. What? If you watch my video from over the weekend, I literally am losing my mind the entire time, because I just got the news and I made the video immediately, and I was still on just this crazy high of just, they're going to Coruscant. What? Did you guys see this? Like, this is wild. So, Lucasfilm revealed new footage from The Mandalorian Season 3 that Din Djarin will find himself in a classic Star Wars location known as Coruscant. Now, this is wild. This is absolutely bonkers. This is absolutely bonkers. So Mando lands on Coruscant in Season 3. This is not the clip that we saw. This is actually a piece of concept art, and it looks kind of like a Jedi temple-ish, like, pyramid structure right there, which is kind of cool. We don't know where they are. It kind of looks like Navarro just because of this arch, and Navarro has looked different here, there, and everywhere. But look right here. Does anybody else see R2-D2 right there? Like, am I just crazy, or is that R2-D2? Anybody? Nobody else sees that? Let me go really close, zoom in on this. Nobody else sees R2-D2 right there? Do you guys see this? Am I going crazy? Look at that's R2-D2. Maybe it's not. See, I thought it was maybe. I don't know. See how it's like a little like darker blue, or maybe even a black there? Maybe it's not R2-D2. I lied. Maybe it's not. So from afar, I thought it was just like, oh, maybe it's just because like Din doesn't really look like Din. Grogu has like a white robe on or something. Everything's not like perfect, so maybe it's R2, but Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe I'm going crazy. Am I going crazy? Probably. But as shared by Collider from CCXP, they were there in Brazil. A new trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3 has confirmed that the lead hero will be visiting the iconic Star Wars world of Coruscant next year. Now, this isn't just a scene of Coruscant, it's Grogu and Din there themselves. The trailer was an extended version of the trailer shown at D23 back in September, focusing on what's next for Mando after he knowingly removes his helmet. He's done it a couple times now, but that's where we're at. This includes a look at some monkey lizards. Can't wait to see those. New action from multiple Mandalorians. There's going to be a ton of Mandalorians. You think there might be like 10, 12. There was a group of Mandalorians in season 1 of The Mandalorian. Or was that season 1 or season 2? Whatever. There's a group of Mandalorians, but that was like nothing compared to what we're going to be seeing in this third season. This third season is going to go big and it's going to go hard. It's going to go a ton, probably like 50 to 100 to maybe even more Mandalorians versus a remnant empire. Hopefully a bunch of stormtroopers and all that. And a quick look at Din Djarin and Grogu on Coruscant. So they clearly threw it in there to make people like myself lose their absolute minds because they know that us Star Wars fans go crazy about crazy things, and this is a crazy thing. Of course, they made it a quick, very, very quick scene to a handful of people in Brazil. And of course, it wasn't released to the public. So we just have to sit here as Star Wars fans in our homes that weren't there and just speculate about how crazy all this is because Din Djarin and Grogu are going to Coruscant. This is just wild. Yeah. Honestly, this season 3 could be bigger than anything we've ever seen from Star Wars. Like bigger than anything we've ever seen from Star Wars. I'm talking even the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy. The Mandalorian timeline, of course, is a fan favorite. Grogu, of course, is on all your shirts. Look down, he's on your shirt. But Grogu is a fan favorite. Din Djarin has quickly become a fan favorite. The Mandalorian. And the first 2 seasons, the results are in the numbers. They did fantastically well. So season 3 is going to get the numbers. It's whether or not it's going to be good. And Star Wars knows that it is their big hit show. So they're going to go balls to the wall. They're going to put everything they have into this show. And Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will not disappoint. Jon Favreau is actually, we'll get to this, but I have the writers for each episode lined up. You have to remember, Dave Filoni is working and writing completely on the Ahsoka show by himself. Or not by himself, but you know what I mean. It is his show. It is his baby. Ahsoka Tano, he created with George Lucas. It is his own thing, and that's where we're at with that. This next line blew my mind, and in my video, I even said it blew my mind. Grogu has seen exploring the Force more deeply. So they're on Coruscant. Where would they be going on Coruscant with Grogu, who Din Djarin now knows is a former Jedi? The Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Now, the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, after Order 66, kind of becomes the hub or the home for Palpatine. And he kind of just uses it as his office or as his home base or whatever you want to call it. He uses the Jedi archives. He uses the entire building. So what if Grogu and Din go back to Coruscant, or go to Coruscant, back to the Jedi Temple? We've seen Grogu in the Jedi Temple in his Order 66 flashback in the Book of Boba Fett, in probably the best episode of Star Wars TV show ever, in that 6th or 5th episode of the Book of Boba Fett, where it's Grogu and Luke training. That flashback scene of Order 66, we know that Grogu was in the temple at the time. So what if he goes back to the temple and is exploring the Force more deeply because he's in the Jedi archives, he's doing a bunch of crazy things. And of course, Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan, is shown confronting Mando about his absence during the war on Mandalore. So we don't know where Mando was during the war on Mandalore. We don't know what he was doing. We actually have no idea what he was doing. But Bo-Katan was there, she was fighting, and she is upset that Mando wasn't there and was absent during the war. So that's going to be a huge conflict and a huge thing because, of course, maybe Din Djarin wants the throne. I honestly don't think Din Djarin wants the throne. Do you think the Mandalorian wants the throne of Mandalore? I honestly just don't think he does. Think about it. He's a bounty hunter. He's been a bounty hunter for many, many, many years now, and he's good at it. Of course, he has this new father figure role for Grogu, but I don't think this means he wants to be the leader of Mandalore. Like, I think Bo-Katan would be more fit for the role, or maybe even Boba Fett. Maybe Boba Fett is a late entry to the role, because think about it, Boba Fett's new Boba Fett, the turned Boba Fett, after being trained by the Tusken Raiders, learning about family, becoming Vin Diesel, he has come to the place where he wants to rule, and he wants to rule the underworld on Tatooine, but maybe he wants to rule the Mandalorians. Now, of course, Boba Fett is a clone, and he doesn't really, get the right to be the ruler of Mandalore when he's literally just a clone of his dad, who was technically a Mandalorian. Jango Fett was a Mandalorian in Star Wars canon. We find out about that in The Mandalorian Season 2. So it's going to be a wild time because, of course, Coruscant, anything can happen. And we don't know what Coruscant looks like at this time in Star Wars. Coruscant could look like anything. Coruscant, let's talk about this. Coruscant in Star Wars right now. So, like I just told you, after Order 66, Palps takes over. Now Palps is gone and the Empire is gone. Of course, Coruscant's home to billions of people. I think maybe even 1 trillion people. I don't know. Somebody fact check me on that. Does Coruscant have 1 trillion people on it? That'd be wild. But Coruscant has a ton of people on the planet. So obviously people are still living there, but who's in control there? The New Republic? Is that the New Republic's new headquarters? Here's why I think that's not the case. Because in The Force Awakens, when General Hux fires the Starkiller base at the New Republic's headquarters, or the New Republic's main planet core, he destroys Hosnian Prime. He doesn't destroy Coruscant, and actually J.J. Abrams wanted to destroy Coruscant, but he destroys Hosnian Prime. So maybe the New Republic isn't centered out of Coruscant. Maybe they're centered out of the Hosnian Prime system. And this means that Coruscant might be either abandoned or kind of abandoned, where there's not much going on there. And maybe there was a big war there. We don't really know. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what the Jedi Temple looks like. We don't know what Coruscant looks like at all, because we haven't seen it since Andor, really. We saw it in Andor, which is before the original trilogy, and we don't see it in the original trilogy, so the next time we'll see it is The Mandalorian Season 3. And honestly, it might look a little shaky. It might look a little dim and not that good. Let's be honest. All right, let's talk about the writers for The Mandalorian Season 3. Now, this actually kind of shocked me, because if you look at this, Mandalorian Season 3 announces writer lineup for every episode. So there's going to be 8 episodes like the first 2 seasons. We're going to get another 8 chapters of The Mandalorian. So the official listing has been revealed. So Jon Favreau, who directed Iron Man, and Star Wars veteran Dave Filoni. Boom, boom. They'll definitely be in it. But here's the lineup. Episode 1, or Chapter 1, Jon Favreau, himself, just by himself. Chapter 2, Jon Favreau, just by himself. Chapter 3, he actually gets some help from Noah Clore, sure, and Jon Favreau. So who is Noah Clore? I did some research on him, still don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was very involved in the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian as a writer, but he wasn't writing individual episodes. Like, he wasn't a co-writer with Jon Favreau like he is on this episode. But it was heavily involved in that, and even in the Book of Boba Fett. So he has been around Jon Favreau, at least, for a long time. Now, Chapter 4 is going to be a big one. And why do I know that? Because it's written by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, the two mans themselves. Now, you have to remember, like I said earlier, Dave Filoni is doing Ahsoka. He's doing the Ahsoka show. He's writing the entire Ahsoka show because he created Ahsoka with George Lucas. So him coming to The Mandalorian Season 3, of course he's going to work on it, but coming to write 2 specific episodes is pretty big. So Chapter 5 is Jon Favreau himself, Chapter 6, Jon Favreau himself, and Chapter 7 is Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni again, and it caps off the finale with just Jon Favreau, which is weird. Why wouldn't Dave Filoni come back for the finale? I have a strange suspicion that we're going to either get Ahsoka, Luke Skywalker, or maybe, I think Bo-Katan's going to be in a lot of episodes, but maybe even Sabine or Ezra or Thrawn in the Chapter 7 episode or in the Chapter 4 episode. And the reason I think this is look back to Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, the Jedi episode with when Ahsoka is introduced and tells us that Grogu's name is Grogu. That episode was purely written by Dave Filoni. Now, Dave Filoni, of course, created the character of Ahsoka, so he came in and took care of the Ahsoka episode. So maybe this is the same case where Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are writing episode 4 together because it's it's Dave Filoni's characters. It's Ahsoka Tano, it's Ezra Bridger, it's Sabine Wren, it's Thrawn, it's his characters from Rebels, it's his characters from the Clone Wars, and maybe that's also why he's in Chapter 7. There is an off chance that we do get introduced to Ezra Bridger and Thrawn in The Mandalorian Season 3 before the Ahsoka show. So there is a chance that that will happen, which would be really, really cool, because let's be real. Who doesn't want to see the big bad Thrawn? I mean, he's been hinted at in Mando Season 2. You know he's coming. Who doesn't want to see the big blue guy on the screen? So obviously, the Episode 4 and Episode 7 are going to be, what I think at least, are going to be the biggest of the 8. Of course, I think they're all going to be enormous, but maybe those are the 2 episodes. Maybe Episode 4 is when he goes to Coruscant, and maybe Episode 7 is maybe an Ahsoka episode or something like that. Something along those lines. Maybe they're meeting Ahsoka at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, because we know Ahsoka left the Jedi Temple a long, long time ago. It's just some wild stuff. But here's the big question. Will Boba Fett be in The Mandalorian Season 3? And did they just hint at this? Now, you have to remember, there's one name on that list that I didn't even know when I read the list initially, and that was Noah Clore, or whatever his name is. Noah Clore, whatever. I'm calling him Noah Clore from now on. So he will be making his Mandalorian writing debut on Season 3. He was just he was in the writing room for the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, but he didn't write specific episodes, like co-write with John. So in Chapter 3, he will be the only case, blah, 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 blah. So he is only previous credit for Star Wars as a writing member would be the Book of Boba Fett, which was actually the first episode, I think. Yeah, the first episode he wrote, which of the Boba Fett story arc. He was the first episode of that Book of Boba Fett. So which is wild because, of course, you know the name Jon Favreau and you know the name Dave Filoni, but Noah Clore is a different name, and it could be exciting and could be the reason we see Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Season 3. So Mando got to be in Boba Fett's show, Boba Fett gets to be in Mando's show. That's pretty much where we're at right now. Now, it gets even crazier than this. It does. It gets wild because Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni video called into CCXP, and Pedro Pascal was actually there. He came out on stage, announced that the release date for The Mandalorian Season 3 is March 1st, and March 1st is right around the corner, but it is March 1st, and he said some other crazy things. But Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni video called in, and Jon Favreau said that there's going to be more surprises, and it's going to be even bigger than The Mandalorian Season 2 and Season 1. Now let's talk about how that's even possible, because Mando Season 2 had Ahsoka Tano, had Bo-Katan, had Luke Skywalker, had you finding out that Grogu's name was Grogu, no longer Baby Yoda, and you found out that he was at the temple during Order 66, or you found out that he was a Jedi at the temple. You didn't know that he was there during Order 66. You don't find that out until the Book of Boba Fett. But that was how huge The Mandalorian Season 2 was. It was beyond bonkers. So how is Season 3 going to top that? Tell me in the comments, because I honestly, I have some ideas, but I want to know what you guys think, because, like, Jon Favreau, he's blowing my mind day in and day out right now. Like, wild. Like my Mandalorian mug. Look at the other side. Dun dun. This is from season 1, clearly. But how is he going to top that? I mean, here's what I think. Here's what I think. How you top season 2? Season 2 also had Boba Fett. Don't forget. How do you also top season 2? Season 2 had Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, Luke Skywalker, Grogu, boom, 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 crazy stuff. You go back to Coruscant. You go back to the Jedi Temple. You go back to Mandalore. You have a war between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. You have Ahsoka Tano. You have Luke Skywalker. You introduce Thrawn and Ezra and Sabine. This is going to be wild. It's going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be way bigger than anything we've seen in Star Wars in the last 15 years. It's going to be enormous to the Star Wars canon, to just fans in general, going back to the Jedi Temple, seeing Coruscant at this time, seeing Mandalore at this time, and getting characters like Luke, Ahsoka. And going back to Coruscant could lead to a maybe, just maybe, a young Han Solo and a young Leia, and possibly even a young Kylo Ren, because Kylo Ren at this time is Ben Solo. And he has yet to begin training with Luke because Luke hasn't started this Jedi Temple yet. So he's probably about 6 years old, I think. Do you guys know how old Ben Solo is at the time of Mandalorian Season 3? Anybody? Pretty sure he's around like 6 to 8, maybe-ish years old. But if we got a young Ben Solo, it would be so cool because maybe then Luke would get his own spin-off show with Ben. And maybe it would be the beginning of Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple, and we could go from there. Back with the OG characters from the original trilogy, you could get a young Han Solo, a young Leia, and a young Luke Skywalker. Did you guys see the Indiana Jones trailer? Now, of course, we're not going to talk Indiana Jones on the Star Wars stream, but did you see the de-aging technology used on Harrison Ford? See, Harrison Ford didn't know that the technology was this good. And now he's in talks to come back to the character of Han Solo in the Mandalorian timeline because of the fact that he used the de-aging technology in Indiana Jones 5 and loved it so much that he might come back to Han Solo. Look at this. De-aged Harrison. So in the Indiana Jones trailer, this is straight out of the Indiana Jones trailer. This is literally from the trailer. Hang on, let me pull it up for you guys. Look at this. This is bonkers. This is absolutely wild. So this is Harrison Ford, his face. What? Why am I zoomed in over here? Whoops. Boom. This is Harrison Ford's face. And this is like not an old clip. This is his face. This is his actual face, de-aged. Look how amazing that looks. And let's not forget, the Book of Boba Fett had an entire 45-minute episode with Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker de-aged by like 30 years. It was wild. But this is Harrison Ford de-aged a substantial amount, at least 20 to 30 years. And he looks like Han Solo would at the time. If they can do this for Indy 5, they can do it for Han Solo in the Mandalorian timeline. And we can already get Luke Skywalker. We've already had Leia in Rogue One. And now we can get Han Solo. And the trifecta is there. And all the original characters are back. And Chewbacca looks the same anyway. So we got it down. You don't have to worry about the droids. You just got to give C-3PO a red arm at some point. But R2-D2 looks the same. And you're fine. You're fine. R2's already been seen. We're talking about what could be the best thing that could ever happen to Star Wars in The Mandalorian by going to Coruscant and seeing Leia and seeing Han and seeing Luke, all three of them on the screen at the same time again. It would literally make fans bawl their eyes out. Of course I would, because we had the entire sequel trilogy, 3 whole movies, 6 whole hours of screen time, and the 3 characters were never on the screen at the same time. It was honestly terrible. How could they possibly do that where Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher aren't on the screen at the same time? But that's not the point. We're talking about the good news is that this could possibly happen in The Mandalorian Season 3. We could get all 3 characters on the screen, possibly in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. I mean, how much cooler does it get than that? It doesn't. It doesn't get cooler than that. It doesn't. It doesn't. Maybe it does, but it doesn't. So Harrison Ford is open to coming back to play Han Solo with this de-aging technology. It's going to be insane in the membrane. But that's a whole different story. So I got one more thing for The Mandalorian Season 3, and then we'll go into the Jedi Fallen Order stuff. So Mando Season 3. Boom, boom. Pedro Pascal teases Luke Skywalker level reveal in The Mandalorian Season 3. So what's a Luke Skywalker level reveal? Harrison Ford as Han Solo. Carrie Fisher's daughter as Leia Organa. Like, a young version of these characters would be, of course, the same level as Luke Skywalker. They are main characters. But this was at CCXP, of course. Speaking to Hyper Omelette, great name, at CCXP 2022, The Mandalorian star Pedro Pascal has teased the surprises to come in Season 3. So he says, Pedro promised that there are more secrets to keep this season, as he believes that there are some of the best things in this past installment. He says, there is so much that you're going to see. I think some of the best things about Season 1 and Season 2 of The Mandalorian were the surprises. Of course, you're right. We were all able to keep the secret about Baby Grogu. He calls him Baby Grogu. You heard it here first, folks. No longer Baby Yoda. Yoda and Grogu are two different characters. Okay. We were all able to keep Luke Skywalker's return to the world a secret, and there are more secrets to keep. This is wild. This is absolutely wild. So all we do until March 1st is speculate what those surprises are. Think about it. All the trailers we got for The Mandalorian Season 1 and Season 2, before they came out, we were like, what's going to happen in this show? And we would break down the trailers, and we would dissect all the Easter eggs in the trailers, and we'd be like, what's going on here? Ahsoka wasn't in the trailer. Boba Fett wasn't in the trailer. Luke Skywalker wasn't in the trailers. We're talking about huge surprises that you don't know until the show is released, until the episodes are released. So we might not even know what he's hinting at right now until the 8th chapter, or maybe even earlier, but the 8th chapter, the finale of the show. So we might not even know until the beginning of May, or the late April maybe. It's going to be insane and so fun to speculate because we already know that they're going to Coruscant. And anything can happen on Coruscant, especially with this time period. We don't know what's going on in Coruscant. We don't know what's going on right now. But maybe the New Republic is there, and maybe Leia's there, and maybe Han Solo's there with a young Ben Solo. Wild. This is some wild stuff. Am I losing my mind for no reason, or is this just wild? I don't know. You guys tell me. You guys tell me. We're gonna move on. I promised that we go into Jedi Fallen Order stuff, and we'll do it. Okay, we'll do it. Jedi Fallen Order. Now this video game is getting closer and closer, and some crazy stuff is coming out about it. Starting with a leaked release date. Now the leaked release date, it has yet to be confirmed by Lucasfilm, but it is pretty much all but confirmed. All right, now I said this about The Mandalorian Season 3 release date, which was February 22nd, and I was wrong. And that's the only reason why I hesitate on this. But the leaked release date is March 16th. Now what we do know for sure from Lucasfilm is this. Boom. Star Wars reveals first look at Jedi Fallen Order 2 prequel story. So Jedi Survivors is getting a prequel to the video game before it comes out. Now, yeah, that's the fifth brother. Yeah, that's Cal Kestis, of course. So Star Wars has revealed first look at prequel novel for upcoming Star Wars Jedi Survivors video game. So a prequel book is coming out before the video game. So after announcing a book inspired by Cal Kestis was on the way, Star Wars just revealed new information about the upcoming novel. It is going to be called Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars. Now it's set between Star Wars Fallen Order and the upcoming Jedi Survivor game. So it's in between the two games. and is going to be filling in the gap, because I think there's a 5-year gap between the games. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's a 5-year gap between the two games. According to the novel's description, Cal Kestis has formed a family-like bond with Merrin, and all, of course, the other characters. BD1. BD1's the GOAT. On the crew of the Stinger, Mantis. So it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild because they come into a conflict with the fifth brother, and it's just going to be a lot of fun stuff, because we saw the fifth brother in live action for the first time in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show last spring. So Cal Kestis has built a new life for himself with the crew members of the Stinger Mantis. Together, Cal's crew has brought down bounty hunters, cool, defeated Inquisitors, of course, and even evaded Darth Vader himself. We saw that at the end of the first one. But most importantly, they're the closest thing that Cal has to family since the fall of the Jedi Order. Of course, he was a Jedi during Order 66. We all played the game. Maybe some of us didn't, but we all played the game. Even as the galaxy's future grows more uncertain by the day, with each blow struck against the Empire, the Mantis' crew grows more daring. So they're growing more and more daring against the Empire, and that's not good, because of course Vader's probably looking for them, Palpatine's probably looking for them, the Empire is looking for the Jedi and sending their Inquisitors like the fifth brother after them. Now we know for a fact that the fifth brother survives the game, I guess, or this book at least, because he's in Star Wars Rebels, and this is actually what he looks like in Star Wars Rebels, and it's a little weird. Oh wait, maybe we see the cover down here. Do we get the cover down here? Yep, here it is. Here's the cover of it. So this is the fifth brother. It's called Battle Scars by Sam Maggs. By Sam Maggs. So it's years before Jedi Survivor, which is the next game. So we see him. This is the same guy from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, the same Inquisitor. And he's in Rebels. And this just looks way more like the Rebels version and nothing like the one from Kenobi. But that's whatever. So a little reasoning why Cal Kestis is jumping from game to book. Honestly, many people believe that Cal Kestis should be in the movies or in live action in the shows, which I completely agree with. He is at the perfect age where he could come into the Mandalorian timeline and fit like a glove, but I don't see it coming anytime soon. Maybe, just maybe, that's one of the surprises that that Pedro Pascal was talking about in the fact that the surprise could be Cal Kestis showing up in The Mandalorian Season 3. That would be bonkers. Absolutely wild. Okay, so so another huge thing with Jedi Fallen Order, or Jedi Survivors, which is also still only speculative, but this is the release date. So, that book came out on March 7th or 6th. Wait, what? Book comes out on... March 7th of 2023. So The Mandalorian Season 1 is the 1st, and this book is the 7th. Literally just 6 short days later. And then 9 days after that is the game itself. March 16th is the rumored, of course, still rumored, release date for the video game. So Jedi Fallen Order 2, which is called Jedi Survivor, release date accidentally revealed. It's an accident. But it's a good accident. So actually, this is the 15th. I've heard 16th. Wait, what? I've heard 16th. I don't know. So according to Steam, who accidentally posted it early, it says the 15th. Now maybe it means like 15th at midnight or something. I don't know. But it's on track for a March release date. We've known that for a long, long time. But that March release date is going to be the 15th or the 16th, I suppose. But this is the biggest news of it all, and it's confirmed. The game's release date is expected to be officially announced at the Game Awards this Thursday. So it's Thursday the 8th. So it's in 2 days. It's going to be officially released. It's going to probably be March 15th or 16th, but it's going to be around that. Along with pre-order date and new trailer. So on Thursday, we're getting a brand new trailer for Jedi Survivors, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, following Cal Kestis, like 5 years after the first one. And this is wild because it's getting all this news And the video game awards are this Thursday. And I think that this is just going to steal the show. Now, this was another thing leaked. This is a following image that was also leaked. So if you get the deluxe edition for Jedi Fallen Order or Survivors, gosh darn, Survivor, you get this stuff. So pre-order and get this now. So this is what's called, if you tilt your head a little bit like this, it's called the Galactic Hero Cosmic Pack. Sure. So you get a Scoundrel's cosmetic. And this is obviously Han Solo's thing and Han Solo's blaster, Han Solo's outfit. And this is obviously Luke Skywalker's outfit and what seems to be his, or a take on his lightsaber. And this one is called, if you tilt your head, it's the new Hero Cosmetic Pack. Okay? So these are what you'll get if you get the deluxe edition of the Jedi Survivor game. Are you going to be buying this game? And are you going to be buying the deluxe edition? Those are the two questions I want to know. Maybe I'll put up a poll. But are you going to be getting the deluxe edition to get these skins? Do you want to look like Han Solo? Do you want to look like Luke Skywalker? And does Cal Kestis have a fresh haircut in this? Tell me where the barbers are in Star Wars, please. But you could also get this one. It says pre-purchase bonus. Ooh. So the Hermit. This is obviously referring to Obi-Wan. This is obviously Qui-Gon's. This is Qui-Gon's? This is Qui-Gon's lightsaber. That's not Obi-Wan's, right? That's Qui-Gon's. Whatever. This is a lightsaber, of course. This is Qui-Gon's lightsaber, right? Am I wrong? This is Qui-Gon's, right? This isn't Obi-Wan's. Or maybe it's Obi-Wan's from like episode 1, but he wouldn't still have that. It's definitely not Obi-Wan's from episode 3. I'm pretty sure it's Qui-Gon's lightsaber, but whatever. Will you be getting this one? Is anybody going to buy this one? So the bounty of Cal Kestis content in 2023. So obviously we're getting a ton of Cal Kestis stuff, with March 7th being the release date of his book, and then March 15th or 16th being the release of his video game. But it is also highly likely we will see him, or not highly likely, but it could be likely that we'll see him in The Mandalorian Season 3 or the Ahsoka show, which would be wild. It would be absolutely wild. And maybe this is hinting at something. Maybe this is hinting at him having an interaction with Obi-Wan or with Force Ghost Qui-Gon, which would be unlikely, but maybe Obi-Wan on Tatooine. It would be pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, now we got one more crazy piece of news to talk about. Now this one, what you've all been waiting for, us to talk about the sequels, of course. Now don't go away. I know sequels, nobody wants to talk about them, but they are very relevant at this point in time. Now Daisy Ridley over the weekend, she posted something on her Instagram story. Now people lost their mind. We just lost so many viewers. Now people lost their mind because they don't want the sequels, or they do want the sequels, or they have mixed opinions on the sequels. We know this. But people lost their minds because she was out in front of Lucasfilm offices, and she was like, no, nothing's happening. Just having a lunch visit, whatever. Yeah, you don't just have lunch visits, Daisy. You don't do that unless you're working on something, and we're on to you. So did Daisy Ridley just tease her Star Wars return on Instagram? People blew this insane. So Daisy Ridley ignites Star Wars speculation. So the Star Wars sequel trilogy star Daisy Ridley posted a story on Instagram at Lucasfilm with a statue of Yoda, leading fans to excitedly wonder if it is hinting at the actress's return to the Disney franchise in the future. So this was just what she posted on her story. It's nothing crazy, just a picture of Yoda statue. So this was like, oh, Daisy at Lucasfilm, hello, Daisy's at Lucasfilm, make of that what you will. Daisy's at Lucasfilm, what does this mean? No way, Daisy just posted this, stay calm. People lost their minds. People lost their absolute minds, because a lot of people, look at these names. Ray Sky Goat, like they're crazy. They're crazy people. But with all that being said, Ray could be back. this is looking highly likely. Now, there have been a ton of speculatory rumors that the next movie for Star Wars, which isn't supposed to be till 2025, could possibly be a sequel trilogy movie. Now, this would be post Rise of Skywalker. This would be Finn. This would be Poe. This would be Rey. This would be Rose. This would be all those characters, and hopefully a return of Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. But we're talking about the return of those characters to the big screen. Now, those characters had a huge falling out with Disney because of the fact that the sequels had an insane split in the fan base, and a lot of fans crapped all over them, a lot of fans loved them, but the majority of people crapped all over them, and they screamed louder. So these actors and actresses heard a lot of crap from Star Wars fans about how those characters, they hated them, especially the character of Rey. So Daisy coming back is wild. It's wild. Do you guys want to see more sequel content? That's the real question, because would you go see a sequel movie? A sequel movie, I guess. Because honestly, many Star Wars fans are going to see a Star Wars movie regardless of how good it is. Honestly, they're going to see it at least once. And how good the movie is will really see how many times you go watch the movie, how much money the movie makes. So if it is a sequel movie, they're going to have to make it that much better, because it's going to have the word of mouth for people to go watch it. Would you go watch a Star Wars movie? That's the biggest question. If it was a sequel trilogy movie, or just a sequel movie, if it had the characters of Rey, Finn, Poe, Rose Tico in it, would you go watch that movie? Let me know, because I honestly, I definitely would. I'm gonna go watch anything Star Wars, honestly, and I'll just give you my opinion on whether I like it or not. But would you, as just a Star Wars fan out there in the realm of Star Wars fans, would you go watch a sequel movie? It's hard to tell, because the people who hate the sequels yell so much louder than the people who like the sequels. But would you go watch a sequel movie? It just doesn't make sense to me why Lucasfilm would go to the sequels next after the insane split of the fan base because of the sequel trilogy. I don't really understand their thought process here, with Kathleen Kennedy being like, most likely on her way out next summer, let me make the next Star Wars movie, because that's what I'm starting before I leave, a sequel movie. I don't understand, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans don't want that. But maybe I'm wrong. Just tell me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Because I'm definitely right. But with the way that The Mandalorian is going right now, with the character of Grogu, and the possibilities of Grogu after the sequel trilogy, because now you're talking about the character of Rey, the character of Finn, the character of Poe, Rose, and then Grogu. Grogu could show up and change everything. And I mean change everything, because Grogu is the glue of Star Wars right now. I mean, like I said earlier, look down. He is on your shirt. I can guarantee Grogu is on your shirt right now. And even if he wasn't on your shirt by the time you started watching this stream and you look down now, he's on your shirt. Grogu is everywhere, and Grogu is seemingly the fan favorite character for Star Wars right now. So putting him in a movie with sequel characters might just make them billions upon billions of dollars. And of course, we don't know where the character of Grogu is going to end up by the time of the sequel trilogy, because he's not in the sequel trilogy, of course, unless you missed him, because he was a main character the whole time. He was just at their feet and the cameras didn't catch him. But he could possibly be that glue that could bring together a sequel trilogy, or a post-sequel time frame. So maybe, just maybe, we could see the character of Daisy Ridley, Rey Skywalker. Did I really just say that? Rey Palpatine return. Maybe. Now, some fan did write in the comment section, and I thought this was a fantastic idea. I can't remember who did it. I want to give them credit. Hang on. Let me find it. I want to give them credit. Ba do 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 do. Come on. Where is this? Do 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 do. Oh, here we go. Nope, not that. Hang on. I can't find it. All right, whatever. But what they were trying to say, pretty much along the lines of this, was that this would make so much sense. Now, Rise of Skywalker, you watched Palpatine say, "Strike me down, and I will go into you, and then you will become the greatest Sith ever, blah, 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 blah," to Rey. And what does Rey do? Technically, if we want to get all technical in here, she strikes Palpatine down. He evaporates. Whatever happens, he's shocked. She sends the Force lightning back to him. He evaporates. She technically kills Palpatine. If we're being honest, she is a Palpatine. She kills Palpatine. And Palpatine, it could be so easily explained that Palpatine just goes straight into Rey. Straight into Rey, and the darkness consumes her in the years after the Rise of Skywalker, and she slowly falls to the dark side. Now, this would be a fantastic, a great story for a sequel trilogy because of the fact that it would just be cool. Rey's character, the problem that people had with Rey's character was that she was too powerful from the start. She'd best Kylo Ren in the first episode, the first episode she's in, and that's explained because she's Palpatine. Now, it would be awesome if she had this huge fall to the dark side and becomes the villain in the sequel trilogy because of the fact that she is a Palpatine and she struck Palpatine down and he went into her. It would be so cool. It would make Rey's character so much more dynamic and so much cooler, and I think it would draw a lot of fans, especially if they brought back Kylo Ren. I think you have to bring back Ben Solo to create any sequel content at this point, because that was most people's fan favorite character. Who was your favorite character from the sequels? Even if you don't have one, who was your least horrible character from the sequels? Who did you like the most? Let's just go with that. I can't find this person. I'm sorry. If you're in the comments right now, tell me if it was you, because... Oh, here we go. I found it. Okay, so... What? I don't know how to say your name. Sorry, buddy. Illiriel. Illiriel. Sure. Okay. They say, generally speaking, that is what happened. She killed her grandfather, in fact, did what he asked her to do. Considering that Rey before this successfully failed the main test of any Jedi by losing the battle against the dark version of herself, Rey's transition to the dark side of the Force is only a matter of time. As a result, in the new film, she will gradually go towards the dark side, and one day she will make the same folding lightsaber staff that she sees in the dark side battle against herself, becoming the new Sith Lord. Now that would be awesome. Let's just be real. Whoops. That would be so cool, and you can't deny it. Darkseid Rey would be epic. I mean, come on. Let's be real. All right. Any last minute things before we get on out of here in a few minutes? Let's just hang out in the chat, talk a little bit about The Mandalorian Season 3 and a little bit more about Cal Kestis, because Cal Kestis coming into live action is, I think, inevitable. Like Thanos, Cal Kestis coming to live action Star Wars is inevitable because he is just a fan favorite character right off the bat from his first video game. If his second video game is such a hit like his first was, they're definitely bringing him into live action. Why wouldn't they? They purposely made him look like, what's his name? Who's the guy who plays Cal Kestis? What's his name? Cameron what? Who plays Cal Kestis? What's his name? Cameron something. Tell me. Come on. Get in the chat. You guys know this. Cameron something. Whatever. He is playing, it literally looks like himself. That's why they made Cal Kestis look like the actor so that they could bring him into live action. They did this on purpose. They did this so that we could see his face. And when he comes into live action, you will recognize him. You will know immediately, oh, that's Cal Kestis. Oh, that's the guy I played in that video game so many hours because it was such a good video game and he's such a good character and we already know him and they already set him up for great success. They did. They really did. Cal Kestis is already a fan favorite character. He's already there. So just bring him in. Just bring him into live action, into the Mandalorian timeline. I mean, think about it. Thrawn, the remnants of the Empire. Thrawn, the remnants of the Empire. Snoke, maybe even. Who knows? Bad guys in general. Stormtroopers, Thrawn's army, whoever, versus Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, Grogu, Cal Kestis, Han Solo, Leia. I mean, you're talking about the coolest lineup of heroes that we've seen in a long, long time, and they all exist at the same time. This is wild. This is absolutely bonkers, and I can't wait for it to happen, and I really hope it happens on the big screen, because we talked about The Mandalorian getting a sequel trilogy. The Mandalorian getting a movie in the movie theaters, which would be so cool, because of the fact that it would be like an Avengers level end game type thing, where it would be in the movie theater, it would be all the heroes all at once, all on the big screen. It would blow people's socks off. Like, your socks would just fly right off your feet. I never understood that saying. It makes no sense at all. Blow your socks off. Do your socks get blown off like on the daily? Doesn't happen to me. But that's just where I'm at with The Mandalorian. I think it definitely should involve Cal Kestis. If he shows up in season 3 after his video game is released, it would just be the craziest month for Cal Kestis. If at the beginning of the month he gets a book, the middle of the month he gets a video game, and the end of the month he gets introduced into live action, it would be so freaking cool. It would just be bonkers. Whoa, what the heck just happened? We're good. Whatever. I don't know what that was, but it would just be unbelievably cool. It would be so cool, and I actually can't wait for it. Now, Jon Favreau, like I said earlier, hinted towards The Mandalorian Season 3 having more surprises than Season 1 and Season 2. Now you're talking about these surprises. Going to Coruscant won't be a surprise, but whatever. A live-action Cal Kestis, possibly. A live-action Luke Ahsoka romance, possibly. A live-action Han Solo and Leia, young, with a young version of Ben Solo, possibly on Coruscant. Wild. And a Mandalorian throne with Bo-Katan possibly riding the Mythazar. You're talking about some insanely wild lore, nerdy Star Wars things, and I can't wait for it. And let's not forget, it's on March 1st. Right around the corner. Literally only January, February, March. 3 months away. We're talking about some insane, awesome Star Wars content, and I think we're honestly going to start doing watch parties at that point. Maybe even doing watch parties for the Bad Batch. But definitely The Mandalorian Season 3, we're doing watch parties, because I just have to watch them live and do my reactions live. Because if this stuff happens, and we're right, if we're right, if we are right, if you guys in the comment sections and myself are correct, and Season 3 is this wild, we have to talk about it live right after the episode comes out. We just have to do that. So we're definitely going to think about doing some watch parties for The Mandalorian Season 3, even The Bad Batch, and definitely the Ahsoka show. But we've also been thinking about doing some live streams for video games. What do you guys think about that? Because, of course, Fallen Order comes out in March. But Lego Star Wars. Did any of you guys play Lego Star Wars? Did any of you guys play the Skywalker Saga Lego Star Wars? Because that was honestly a really cool game. I only played the first The Phantom Menace because I don't really like playing games by myself. But if I was doing it in a live stream, I would love to do it with you guys, get your input, whatever. You guys play along with me if you want. I don't even know. But I just think it would be a fun idea. I don't know. You guys tell me. You guys tell me in the comments. So I am going to get on out of here. Any last minute things? Any last minute news for Star Wars? Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. I got nothing. Hang on. Let me see. Yeah, nothing. All right. So, yes, with all that being said, I'm going to get on out of here. Smash like if you like this video, hit subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face, show up in the recommended feed of yours. We got a ton of crazy stuff going on in Star Wars for the next years to come. So don't forget to stick around. I'll have all the news for you. We'll be doing live streams like this. I'll be doing videos all week. I'll be doing shorts all week. I'll be here all week. And maybe we'll be doing some live streaming for video games. Maybe we'll be doing some live streaming for watch parties. Maybe we'll be just doing some live streaming because we're awesome. And you guys are awesome. And I'm awesome. And we're awesome. And look down, Grogu's on your shirt. Guaranteed. And if he's not, you got to go buy some Grogu merch. Easy for you to say. All right, I'm going to get on out of here. May the Force be with you. Always.